All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're breaking down what is, you could argue, the single most important shot in all of modern tennis, the inside-out forehand. And trust me, it's so much more than just a stroke. It's really the strategic key that unlocks how points are won at the very highest level. So what exactly makes this one shot so incredibly powerful? Well, let's get into it.
So, let me just start by asking you a question. If you had to pick one single shot, the most dominant, point-ending ground stroke in the game today, what would you say it is? You might be thinking, a huge serve, or maybe a blazing backhand down the line. But the actual data, it tells a much, much different story.
Just take a look at this. This chart is incredible. It shows where forehand winners are actually hit from on the court. And the answer is it's undeniable. The vast majority of forehand winners are not hit from the forehand side. No, they're hit from the backhand side. That huge bar right there, that's the inside-out forehand, and its dominance is exactly what we're talking about today.
So when you see a statistic like that, it's really no surprise that we're calling this tennis's ultimate weapon, because it's not just about hitting a tennis ball. It's a whole game plan rolled into one motion. You see, the real genius of the inside-out forehand isn't just about hitting the ball hard. It's about geometry. It's a strategy. It's about taking total control of a rally, dictating exactly where the ball is going to go, and then just systematically dismantling your opponent's game, usually by forcing them into their weakest corner.
Now, to really get this strategy, we first have to be totally clear on what inside-out even means. I know the term can be a little confusing, but it's all about, redefining the court to give yourself a massive advantage.
Okay, so here's the textbook breakdown. At its core, it's about two things: movement and direction. First, the player intentionally runs around their backhand into what's normally their backhand court, all so they can hit their stronger shot, the forehand. Then, from that position, from the inside of the court, they hit the ball out cross-court toward the sideline. That's it.
And this comparison just lays it all out perfectly. On one side, you've got your standard cross-court forehand. The player is on their natural forehand side. But on the other, the inside out. The ball ends up in a similar spot, sure, but look at the player's position. They've moved to the center of the court to totally command the point with their biggest weapon.
But okay, hitting this shot is not simple. It takes a ton of athleticism. So let's pop the hood for a second and look at the biomechanical engine that really powers this incredible weapon. It all comes down to this perfectly timed sequence, what's called a kinetic chain. It all starts with recognizing the opportunity and then just exploding with your footwork to get in position. Then comes the most important part, the unit turn. That's a deep coil of your hips and shoulders, which is where you store up all that energy. That energy is then unleashed through contact and extension, and finally, it's all held together by great balance so you can recover for the next shot. The footwork and that deep rotation, though, that's the real power source.
So we know what it is, we know how it's hit. But the biggest question is why? Why do players go to all this trouble? Well, it's because tennis is a war of angles, and the inside-out forehand is how you win it.
I mean, this one shot accomplishes so many things at once. You're almost always attacking your opponent's weaker backhand. You're pulling them way off the court, which creates this huge open space, and you're basically setting yourself up for an easy put-away winner on the very next ball. It's like a strategic checkmate in the making.
And this quote just hits the nail on the head. It's not about brute force. The real goal is to control the geometry of the point, to be the one who decides where your opponent has to move. And in that game, the inside-out forehand is the absolute master key that unlocks the whole court.
Okay, now for the really cool part. Let's look at how the pros use this shot, not just as a one-off, but as the first step in these predictable, championship-winning patterns.
Let's break down the most famous pattern in tennis, the 1-2 punch. It's so simple, yet so deadly. Shot 1, the inside-out forehand, stretching the opponent and getting them on defense. This almost always forces a weak, short reply. And that sets up shot 3, the kill shot, often an inside-in forehand, hit right back down the line into that giant open court you just created. Game over.
And this wasn't some abstract theory either. This exact tactical battle, Rafa's heavy looping inside-out forehand to Federer's one-handed backhand, and Roger's attempts to counter it, that was the absolute centerpiece of their entire legendary rivalry. It literally defined their matches for more than a decade.
Which, leaves us with one last, really fascinating question to think about. The inside-out forehand is the dominant play. The patterns are totally established. Everybody knows they're coming. So what's next? Is the future of tennis strategy not about perfecting this play, but in finally figuring out a way to break it?